Melbourne City may be 2 games away from completing an undefeated home and away season, but they have still not secured the premiership, and they cannot take today against the Newcastle Jets for granted. Melbourne City may boast 17 wins, 1 draw and no defeats head-to-head against the Jets, but they cannot take anything for granted in this match. They must bank all 3 points, and if they do, and then Melbourne Victory don't win later today, it could be a presentation after the men's match in the doubleheader of the Premier's Plate to Melbourne City. The 2 teams in the tunnel. Let's take a look at the weekend fixtures. So, following this match, Central Coast kickoff against the Melbourne Victory. If City win, Victory must win to take the premiership race to the final day. Anything less, and Melbourne City will be crowned tonight. Sydney and Perth are back on tenfold tomorrow, and then a look ahead to Sunday. Last chance saloon for Brisbane against the Wanderers. Canberra control their destiny. They host the Wellington Phoenix. And to put that all in context, here's the table. So Melbourne City can extend the gap to 5 points with 2 games to play at kickoff, and then 1 game to play at full time tonight. So Melbourne Victory must keep pace. Over the page, you see Newcastle are mathematically eliminated from finals, but they can jump 2 spots on the ladder with a win today, and also guarantee that they do not win the wooden spoon. Rebecca Stott leading Melbourne City out of the tunnel. City's dominant head-to-head record, 47 goals scored against Newcastle, just 7 conceded. But for the Jets, 2 of them did come here at Amy Park back in 2018.
Number 10, Pollicina.
Let's take a look at the Melbourne City team. 1-0 winners away in Wellington in their last match before the international break. 1 change to the lineup. Mariana Speckmeyer is out for a couple of weeks, managing an ankle injury before finals. Replaced in the starting 11 by Briley Henry, and opening a spot on the bench to be taken by young attacker Amelia Murray. Holly McNamara is back from international duty with the Matildas. She starts tonight on 12 goals in a tie with Emily Gilnick. You see the Golden Boot race right there. McNamara did score away at McDonald Jones Stadium last time City played the Jets. Can she break into an outright lead in this game? Let's take a look at the Jets lineup. Their last match, a 2-0 defeat to Western United before the international break. They make 1 change to the starting 11. No Tash Fryer tonight due to a minor strain carried over from international duty. Sheridan Gallagher's into the starting 11. And then on an overhauled bench, Gia Vicari and Milan Hammond are out, replaced by Chloe Wallando, Claire Adams and Alexis Collins. Danielle Krasaniak, the Canadian goalkeeper, has kept just 1 clean sheet this season, and no Newcastle goalkeeper has ever kept a clean sheet against Melbourne City. Krasaniak played quite well in the 2-0 defeat when these teams last met, and we'll be hoping that she can be the breakthrough player that's the first ever goalie to shut out Melbourne City while wearing Newcastle colours. Michael Matriciani still yet to taste defeat in charge of Melbourne City. 21 league games and 4 AFC Champions League ties. He is sitting pretty. Tonight's referee is Caitlin Williams, assistants Jasmine Steger and Danielle Anderson, and the 4th official is Georgia Ghirardello. Last season, Newcastle played a semi-final against Melbourne City. The second leg was right here at Amy Park, but for Ryan Campbell, it is the penultimate game of the season, no matter the outcome today. So Newcastle, with the freedom of already having been eliminated from the finals, maybe nothing to play for. Melbourne City, the pressure of knowing that if they slip up, Melbourne Victory will be kicking off on the Central Coast almost as soon as the full-time whistle sounds here at Amy Park.
City fans looking to clinch the Premier's Plate tonight. Let's count this one from 5.
So will it be a monumental upset, or will the form guide hold true? Melbourne City to kick off, attacking the right of your screens. They are 2 games away from completing an undefeated home and away season. And joining me for this match is former Matilda Catherine Cannuli. And Knowles, Melbourne City can't take anything for granted, given that they do have Melbourne Victory breathing down their necks.
You never can, Teo. It's going to be a big match here for Melbourne City. They've had a fantastic season so far, but as you know, you never walk onto the pitch and just pick up 3 points. They're going to have to earn it this afternoon.
Last time these teams played, a 2-0 scoreline doesn't tell the story of just how brave and bold Newcastle were taking the game on. There's the recent form line between the sides. Newcastle have lost their last 2 coming in, so their brief revival that kept them in contention for a final spot ultimately sputtered to a close. So we see a foul here from Sheridan Gallagher, making her presence felt in the opening exchanges.
As per usual, Sheridan Gallagher, and you can see from that tackle straight away from the first minute here that Newcastle isn't going to take this afternoon lightly and just give up those 3 points.
Of course, it's another stage for these players, some of them potentially playing for their futures in the A-League Women's or maybe further afield with a big off-season coming up. And as we'll get to through the broadcast, plenty of connections to youth national teams as well in both camps, as Holly McNamara is knocked off the ball by Josie Wilson, and then Laura Hughes is able to collect possession and pass back to Milena Mires. A Spanish goalkeeper who's up to 7 clean sheets for the season for Melbourne City. You see Gallagher is a lone player chasing the ball at the moment, but now has company in the form of Lauren Allen, but Melbourne City playing through it reasonably comfortably. Alexia Apostolakis seemingly starting today at left back. And is going to cycle the ball back to Taylor Otto, the American defender. What do you make of that switch, Knowles? Carly Rossback starting on the right and Alexia Apostolakis on the left.
It's an interesting one, to be honest, unless they want him for Alexia to be able to cut in back on her right foot, being started on the left-hand side, or is it something that he's changing up to start to change things up, looking forward to the final series?
Apostolakis has been a mainstay at right back, and often it's been Rossback and TJ Vlanich battling each other for the start at left back, but here's Rossback in this new role. Certainly not an unfamiliar one, but it is an interesting switch to make, I suppose, as you say. Maybe the coach Michael Matriciani wants Apostolakis pushing into midfield and moving central on her right foot. Here's Rebecca Stott playing the ball back to Milena Mires. On the eve of finals, you always notice little tweaks like that, don't you?
Absolutely, and as a coach in this league, coming to the back end of the season, you need to start to change things up and be unpredictable coming into that final series and starting to see what can work and what can't, and making yourself, again, not being predictable.
Could be entirely dictated by the opponent too. Of course, it means that Apostolakis is guarding the speedy Lauren Allen, who has started on the right flank for Newcastle. Right now, the speed of Holly McNamara is perhaps a more pressing concern, and Danielle Krasaniak not taking any risks, knocking the ball into touch. So Melbourne City will have a throw-in from the left side. Letitia McKenna, her pathway blocked, a deflected pass. Devon Jackson, the New Zealander, to her compatriot Rebecca Stott. Now Leah Davidson, another player coming back from Matilda's duty last weekend during the week, and this is a nice one too with Lourdes Bosch. Davidson, Newcastle volley away, but danger not yet averted. Bosch scooping across over to Apostolakis, frees the feet, and a shot deflected high. Oh, not collected by Krasaniak, headed off the line by Cassidy Davis. And Newcastle are able to escape their defensive penalty area. They're not totally safe just yet. And now Davis clears. Sheridan Gallagher, there's no one forward of the ball, so a throw-in, Newcastle's best friend.
Wasn't that a close one for the Newcastle Jets? What a great ball in behind here for Leah Davison, and a great cross into a dangerous area there. Briley Henry just can't get her run across the face of that defender there, and I think Newcastle Jets was lucky to get away with that one.
Cass Davis, the captain, in the right place at the right time. On a weekend where Michelle Heyman is set to raise her 200th game in the Ninja A-League. Davis plays game 175 today, so one full season and, well, you'd have to say finals away from 200 of her own. Maybe that's something to think about next campaign. Apostolakis. Oh, Gallagher. You heard the contact with Taylor Otto. And Caitlin Williams, the referee, is coming across. It's a yellow card out of the pocket, and just 5.5 minutes into the game, Sheridan Gallagher is in the referee's book.
Yeah, it's a little bit clumsy there from Sheridan Gallagher. I don't think you need to be putting on a tackle like that in that position there, but it's definitely a yellow card, and now it's going to be a tough one for her for the rest of the game.
Gallagher has certainly racked up the cards this season. That's now her 10th yellow card of the campaign, to go with a red as well. Lorena Bauman.
Backwards, yes, yes.
Devon Jackson squeezing out of a jam. Josie Wilson. Claudia Chico. City win back the ball through Briley Henry. It's a pass that's not quite to the advantage of Holly McNamara, though. Krasaniak clears. Jackson already thinking about what came next as she took possession, but so was Ross Backen, right on her case. Gallagher. The ball maybe nicked off the referee, and indeed the referee is going to whistle play dead for a drop ball. Not sure who gets possession as a result here. I think Melbourne City would have a pretty good argument that they were repelling out of defence. I mean, the referee's barely deviated the path of the ball there. But Newcastle get a drop ball and they get to keep possession. Knowles, dare I ask for your thoughts on that one?
I'm not sure about that one, Teo, to be honest, but...
Well, Melbourne City are trying to make it a moot point. Newcastle not making the most of possession and now giving it away. So Melbourne City have turned it into an attacking half throw-in. Apostolakis, who was called into Matilda's camp as a train-on after a couple of the selected Matildas were ruled out after being assessed upon arriving in the country. Ellie Carpenter, one of them. Here's Laura Hughes. And Claudia Chico is successfully winning a goal kick. Hughes, who scored the opening goal in the 2-0 win when these teams met at McDonald Jones earlier in the season. Apostolakis onto the head of Wilson. Davidson. Otto showing no ill effects from Gallagher's challenge a couple of minutes ago. Stott, a heavy touch out in front, had to go chasing, but in striving to win the ball, it's ultimately been given away. Dundas hugging the line, and Gallagher not able to keep it in. Of course, a draw is not a fantastic result for Melbourne City today. They will be doing everything in their power to win. Gallagher sliding in late, but not able to affect the clearance. However, Newcastle have possession back. Bauman, Copus Brown, Sophie Hoban. From the left flank, a tumbling cross. Gallagher. And now Jackson trying to fashion a shot. Hoban similar. Melbourne City able to repel and clear their lines. McNamara is chasing. Cass Davis, veteran move. Able to get a body in the way and stop Holly McNamara getting a free run at the ball. Bauman. Jackson, clever pass. Lorena Bauman off and running. Ross Backen in pursuit. Bauman's cross, a shallow one. Dealt with comfortably enough by Stott. It's been a very open first 10 minutes, end to end at the moment. What do you make of how the game is shaping up, Catherine?
Absolutely. We always know the first 10 minutes in a match is always one of the most shakiest ones, and it's until either team starts to get themselves comfortable on the ball and starts to control the tempo. And I think you'll start to see that now with Melbourne City, You can see when they don't have the ball, they're very organised in defence as well, and they have been winning some of those crucial balls to get back into possession.
Pollicina around the corner, but can't find a teammate, so Newcastle have a throw in. I mentioned that a draw is not much good for Melbourne City today, because victory could then, if they beat the Mariners, move level on points going into the final weekend. City do have a vastly superior goal difference, but they also go away to Perth in the final round. Here's Hoban, through ball, Lauren Allen. Well, the flag goes up for offside. Melbourne City were appealing. It looks like it was a razor-thin call.
It looked super, super close there. You could see Alexia Pollicina with her arm in the air, calling it before the referees even called it there. Just got to be really careful when it's such a tight one. You can see here on that picture on the replay that she's definitely offside.
Danielle Anderson, the official over on the outer side, raising the flag. So Melbourne City with a quick network of passes, looking to switch out to the right. Here goes Rostbacken. Bauman picks off the pass. Davis coming through. Stott. McKenna trying to bring a bouncing ball under control. Lourdes Bosch going to work against Lorena Bauman, and a pass that didn't really bring Holly McNamara into the play. Bosch is the assist leader in the league, though, having broken clear at the top of that table. Looking unlikely that she'll be caught in that tally. So an excellent first season in the Ninja A-League for the American.
She's been great to watch this season. She just brings something special. She's creative when she gets on the ball, and there's obviously a reason why she's leading that in the most assists this season.
See there that teammate Rihanna Pollicina, who's on the bench, is in second. It's a tough City 11 to get into when the player with the second most assists in the league isn't even starting.
It sure is, and it just goes to show the qualities of Rihanna Pollicina as well, with not having as much game time as she normally would in previous seasons, to still be up there as in the second highest assists in the league. It's great to see.
Claudia Chico is going to continue her run here and show great speed, bursting away from Apostolakis. A little helter-skelter, though, as she tried to take on Taylor Otto. And Melbourne City now might have a gap to exploit, with Chico having committed up the pitch. Well, the opportunity is missed, though, as McKenna can't take possession of the ball. Dundas working with Wilson. Newcastle do seem to be the one team that really enjoy playing against Melbourne City's high possession style, because they're not afraid to take the game on and make it transitional, and this was a bold, enterprising run here.
Absolutely, you can see that they've got all the energy to play with at the moment. The likes of Claudia Chica that loves to get up and down that sideline as well, and you can even see here that, that camaraderie in this group. They're not giving up. They're trying to fight for every single tackle. They're working hard together. It's just how long can they sustain that? That's the question.
And that was the question in Newcastle back in January as well, when it was scoreless at half-time, and Newcastle had their opportunities both when the game was 0-0 and 1-0 down, but ultimately fell to a 2-0 defeat. Chico here, finding Libby Copus-Brown. Copus-Brown trying to find Gallagher, deflected away by Otto. It's a lush surface at Amy Park, but eventually it will spin out for a corner kick. And even though there's no Tash Pryor in the team today, there are some aerial threats for a well-taken corner to aim for.
Absolutely, and Sheridan Gallagher's done really well here to earn her team a corner. She's just shielded the ball so well, and hopefully they can make something from this chance.
So Cass Davis is coming across to take the corner. Gallagher perhaps the obvious target. Josie Wilson, another of the taller players to aim for. Looks as though Rebecca Stott is marking Gallagher at the corner. Ball over Gallagher's head, cleared by Taylor Otto emphatically. Hoban trying to judge the bounce and eventually brings the ball under her control. Bauman, second time ball into the box and catching practice for McNamara.
You can see what Bauman's trying to do here. She's just trying to put it back into that danger area and see if she can get some runners in the box there. But bit of an overhit one there, and nice and easy for the goalkeeper.
In front.
Ryan Campbell typically provides part of the soundtrack of any given Newcastle game from the technical area. Michael Matriciani, not as verbose. If shouting's required, it'll often come from his assistant coach, Melbourne City's backup goalkeeper, Melissa Barbieri. Not much of that required for now. Kostelakis trying to keep the ball in, but can't do so. Tyrone bouncing down to the byline, and that one will run away from Lauren Allen, out for a goal kick. So short goal kick taken, but as you can see, Newcastle not pressing into the penalty box. Gallagher, the lone player, standing at the edge of the area. Bit of cat and mouse going on. Gallagher, of course, has to be careful in the press on a yellow card as well, not to stick a foot in late. Stott. And a miss it pass there, uncharacteristic of Rebecca Stott, Melbourne City captain. So Newcastle take over briefly, immediately under pressure though. Bauman, Gallagher with a flick header on. Stott, Copus Brown trying to repel. Hoban in a wrestle against Hughes. Hoban looking for a gap. Gallagher switching flanks. And well, Lauren Allen coming back from an offside position, and those hurt.
It was the right idea here by Sheridan Gallagher. She gets her head up, sees that there's space on the other side of the pitch, and the right idea, just Allenstead in that offside position.
Mears sends the ball to Rostbacken. Stott. And again, slicing off the outside of the boot, out for a throw. So some of the traps that Newcastle are setting, the City play out from the back are working, but they're still yet to really put the heat on Melena Mears in goal at the other end. Here's Dundas, back to Wilson. Dundas with space to turn and go here. The next pass vital, finds Gallagher. Gallagher will turn straight into trouble. And Davidson won the ball back for Melbourne City. McKenna sets Apostolakis a task. Apostolakis beats the ball in stride. Runners breaking forward here. Briley Henry, a burst of acceleration. The crowd, more so than the players, appealing for a free kick. Not forthcoming. Stott. Switching over to Henry, watching the ball arrive. Henry against Chico. And Chico is going to watch goalkeeper Krasaniak collapse onto the ball.
That was a great ball over from Rebecca Stott there, and you can see here Briley Henry running at plays at speed, one of her greatest attributes.
Chance here for Holly McNamara. McNamara! Melbourne City breakthrough for the opener, and Holly McNamara takes an outright lead at the top of the Golden Boots. It is so costly giving away possession high up the pitch against this Melbourne City team, and the Newcastle defence is breached. It's number 13 of the campaign for McNamara, and there is your new outright leader at the top of the scoring charts.
What a great little pinch here from Holly Mack. She wins the ball back. She gets herself into a dangerous area. And 9 times out of 10, you know that she's going to be putting that ball in the back of the net. She's just slotted this so well with the inside of her foot. Picks a corner. Nice and easy. 1-0 Melbourne City.
It's an extraordinary strike rate when you consider that McNamara only returned in late December. 13 goals in 16 Ninja A-League games.
What an unbelievable record to come back and to be able to score 13 in 16 matches. And she played majority of the games with the Matildas on international duty most recently, and she's been fantastic. My only worry sometimes, Teo, and I don't like to say this on air, but the amount of football that she's playing on her return so far, I wonder if Melbourne City today, if they do get to have a little bit of a good lead in this match, whether they do rest her coming into finals.
Well, they have the opening goal, and it was to a degree self-inflicted by Newcastle, getting caught in possession in the defensive third. And a lethal player like Holly McNamara was able to do the rest after initiating that very turnover. So the Jets' record of never having kept a clean sheet against Melbourne City will stretch into a 19th game, regardless of what happens in the remainder of today. McNamara feasts on the Jets in particular. That is now 5 goals head-to-head in what is only her 4th appearance against this opponent. Tempo of the game has gone up ever so slightly here. Melbourne City trying to cool it all down. Mirez picks a pass to Briley Henry. Gallagher does well to win the ball off Otto. Keeping possession, Gallagher goes to ground. No free kick forthcoming. Chico sweeps across to the edge of the box. Jackson with it all to do. Devon Jackson. City defence able to clear. Well, better from Newcastle, but a lot of individual play, not a great deal of team link up there.
Yeah, you can see here they get put in sort of a couple of different minds there when they do get on the ball, and the ability to be able to combine and build up has been a little bit slow, to be honest. But we'll see how they react now to this next 5 minutes.
As things stand, City would be on track to win for the 11th time in a row against Newcastle. The one and only draw the Jets were able to pick up was November 2019. And funnily enough, that is the last time a team went undefeated through an entire A-League women's season, albeit a much shorter season back in the 1920 campaign. It's 23 home and away games plus a 2-legged semi-final plus a grand final if Melbourne City want to get that invincible season. Back then it was 12 and a semi-final and a final. Dundas will be keen to make amends after what happened on the opening goal. Wilson didn't see anything happening forward. Chico, similar issues, only one pass, and that was Allen. And Allen backed herself to try and get around Apostolakis, but ran out of real estate up against the line. Bouncing ball, McNamara trying to use her straight line speed to break away, but Chico's quick. And if there's a handful of players in this league that can match Holly McNamara for pace, Chico might be one of them. Allen. Dundas, who can keep clean possession. Davidson. See Ross back in directing traffic. Mirez up the middle. Ross Backen. McNamara slipping on the surface. She's going to stay down. In the meantime, Melbourne City have won the ball back. Otto. McNamara back to her feet ahead of play. Davidson out to Bosch. Bosch, a short little pass. The centre-back Otto getting forward. A surprise sneak attack from the centre of defence, but it breaks down.
It's a great run there by Bosch. The way she comes across that defender to open up the space there for Holly Mack. You can see here again playing this ball here for the forward run by Otto. Big run from centre-back.
Gallagher and Hughes taking exception here. Taylor Otto is hurt. Sheridan Gallagher is going to pick up a second yellow card. And it's a second red card of the season for Sheridan Gallagher. She's sent off in just the 26th minute. And the Jets are going to have to play the majority of this game with 10 players. And concern here for Taylor Otto, because this landing looks like a hip injury of sorts. Oh dear, Gallagher not happy with whatever she's heard over the fence. There might be more to the story there. But in the meantime, Catherine Cannuli, what do you make of the challenge that's led to the second yellow card?
I think it was a tough challenge there by Sheridan Gallagher. To be honest, when you know that you're on a yellow card and it's so early in the half for your team, you've got to be really careful about what type of challenges you are putting on, and it's a massive disadvantage now to the Newcastle Jets to play out the rest of this game, which was going to be hard enough for them in the first place, but to do it with 10 men is going to be a tough job for them today.
You saw the reaction of Taylor Otto upon impact. It looked serious, so the good news is she's up under her own steam. The physios clearly assessed things, and Otto may be feeling a little better now. We know she's a tough customer. We saw earlier in the season she had a big egg on her head and had that wrapped up and played out the rest of the game. Now it's a mechanical injury on the hip, so let's see how she moves from here on.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can see by her facial expressions that that was a bit of a hard hit on her. You can see the way that she's sort of reacted from as she did get up. But nevertheless, it's Melbourne City in possession here, and let's see what happens for the rest of this half.
From a formational point of view, what do you do if you're Newcastle? Do you batten down the hatches and try to just absorb? Do you have something in mind for a 10v11? We'll come back to that because Melbourne City are on the attack here. Bauman snapping at the heels of Bosch. Now Bauman plays the ball to Hoban. As the ball goes out. Yeah, thoughts on how Newcastle readjust tactically here?
I think definitely they need to lock up until half-time. Generally, most coaches would have a plan if they were to lose a player. So when they do go down to 10 men, that they would have a plan in place. But in saying that, the most important thing for the Newcastle Jets right now is to absorb until half-time. So once they do get in the shed, so Brian Campbell can rejig what the new game plan will be.
Safe to say, if Melbourne Victory are watching this game on their phones at Gosford before they go and do their warm-up, they may be expecting the unlikely favour from Newcastle today. I think the eggs might be being put in the Perth basket next weekend for a potential Melbourne City slip-up just to leave the door ajar for the premiership. Victory will have to worry about a stern test against the Mariners later tonight. If Melbourne City score a second, it's going to make it just impossible. But as long as the game lingers at 1-0, it's probably worth remembering that one of Newcastle's few wins this season was when they were down to 10 players against Sydney FC at Allianz Stadium, and they staged a remarkable comeback with 10 to win it 2-1 after trailing. So they have been in this position before earlier in the campaign. And the red card was, I think, even earlier in the game when Danielle Krasaniak got sent off for a foul on Princess Abini that day. They're going to have to channel that sort of energy if they want to turn this around. Jackson, good hustle to keep the ball in. Ross back in. The tempo of the game remains high. McNamara, a header out of play. Bauman. Jackson. Davidson wins possession. Here's Hughes trying to thread a through ball, which Davis intercepts. Hoban, Copes Brown. Referee has to take evasive action. Hoban again. Bauman. Emma Dundas. Given away to Davidson. Here comes Bauman. Stop. Davidson quick to turn out to the right. Ross back and create numbers. Underlapping run from Bosch. Bosch leg by Copes Brown. And a corner is the decision. Bosch remains down, but the tackle legal according to the referee. Copes Brown perhaps arguing it was even a goal kick.
That's a massive tackle there by Libby Copes Brown. I think she's very lucky to get away with this one, to be honest.
And that's a penalty, Norse.
She's taken her out from behind there. She's come.
So first corner of the game coming up from Melbourne City. Taylor Otto turn the tables and score. He does have a goal from a corner only recently away in Brisbane. Apostolakis with a drifter. McNamara, the leaper. Batted down. Newcastle possession initially, but through comes McKenna for City. Letitia McKenna lifts in across. McNamara's up! McNamara's got two! Melbourne City double their lead. Newcastle paying the price down to 10 players. And Holly McNamara, is she starting to wrap her hands around a Golden Boot trophy? Zero emotion on the bench. And all business out on the pitch from Holly McNamara.
What a beautiful ball in. But to allow Holly McNamara the time and the space in a dangerous area like that, you don't allow someone like Holly McNamara that space and that time to be able to get anything on it. And a great finish there by Holly.
The absence of Tash Pryor being sorely felt from the centre of the Newcastle defence. And it's a different Matilda, Holly McNamara, leaping into the arms of Taylor Otto to celebrate. So that's 14 for the campaign now. And as you can see there, 25 career goals for Holly McNamara.
These numbers are ridiculous, Teo. What a great player we have in this Ninja A-League. I love watching Holly McNamara. She's so exciting to watch. And the great thing about it is that she's got so many different finishes under her belt as well. She's got so many different tools that she can use, and she's just been a pleasure to watch, and seeing her back in this Ninja A-League, it's been great.
Taylor Otto looking to pile on the pain here, perhaps playing with an extra bit of motivation after the hard foul led to the second yellow for Sheridan Gallia. McNamara has only failed to score once in her last 7 games, and that was on the 15th of February, some time ago it must be said, in Melbourne City's 2-1 win against Sydney FC. Can't help but wonder what Mariana Speckmeyer is thinking of this, out of the team for a couple of weeks nursing an ankle injury, and it's just been a seamless progression with Riley Henry coming in and Melbourne City still looking like a very smooth unit, even though they're missing one of their biggest aces in the pack.
And this has been their greatest thing this season, right? The amount of depth that this team has got is unbelievable. To have a player like Speckmeyer come out, you bring in a youngster, Amelia Murray, onto the bench, but still look at this bench. It's a absolute class bench that in any other, or most A-League teams, you look at this bench, that'd be starters in other teams.
Other players on the bench for Melbourne City that we might see in the second half, including Rihanna Pollicina, Shelby McMahon, TJ Vlanich. 10 minutes of regulation time to go in the first half. Riley Henry here. Well, the Jets, unfortunately, are on the canvas at the moment. Melbourne City. One more goal, and the Jets will have conceded 50 for the campaign. They came into today with the leakiest defence in the league. Would you believe, finals-bound Western United on 42 are the second most porous. But, the Jets, sadly, are 7 goals worse.
It's very important today, Teo, that the Newcastle Jets keep their discipline. You can already see there's a few players on the pitch that are making some crazy decisions. Discipline is important, especially to get the players that have got a lot of experience, like the Libby Copus Browns, that have to pull this team together and pull the whole team.
Otto. Rossbacken. Bosch. And the ball runs long. Jasmine Steger there, the assistant referee. Catherine, it's her final game before retirement today. So it's been a mainstay of the Ninja A-League for the last few seasons. 50th game and saying farewell. Hopefully there's some thoughts of unretiring at some point in the future, because she's been a bit of a mainstay of the league. Always, you want as many top officials as possible to, whether it's hold the whistle or the flag, for as long as they can.
Absolutely, and it's been great to see so many of our officials also being recognised and doing their thing on the world stage as well, which has been great to see.
Here goes Apostolakis. Riley Henry starting from behind Chico, but he's going to take the game on here. And that first touch, just a little bold. Henry does have 2 career goals against the Newcastle Jets, so no doubt we'll be hoping to add to that tally. We've spoken about the Melbourne City bench, Catherine. Looking at the Jets bench, it's a very young bench today. There's the Melbourne City bench. Melissa Barbieri, the assistant coach and also backup keeper. But the Gents bench, we'll get to that in a second. One more attack on the way from City, not quite. India Breyer, 18. Chloe Wallando, 19. Claire Adams, 18. Alexis Collins, 17. And backup goalkeeper Tiana Robertson, 22. So do you turn to the bench early to maybe readjust the formation and try to find something different? Or is it perhaps a little risky to throw even more kids into this sort of environment? I'll give you a phase of play to think about it, as the Jets can't quite go on the attack. Otto with the interception. Rossbacken. Holly McNamara's on a hat-trick, don't forget, but that cross won't find her. And it's going to hold up and stay in right down in the corner here. Chico clearing. Ball touched into midfield. Copus Brown. Lauren Allen is going to take on the goalkeeper here. Mirez coming out of her line with a clearance that tumbles on. Dundas dispossessed by Briley Henry. Bosch running through the middle. Henry knocked off the ball though by Davis. Oh, and then Copus Brown almost ran out of the way of the ball. That was a confusing moment, but Hoban goes in and wins possession back. Dundas. Hoban leaves it for Bauman. Lorena Bauman with the through ball. And Devon Jackson not able to accelerate onto it before Taylor Otto could come across. Into the last 5 minutes of the first half regulation time here. Melbourne City enjoying a 2-0 lead, and they'll go back to their goalkeeper.
You can just see here, Viedes just holding on to this ball, waiting for the Newcastle Jets to come at her.
Rosbacken. Bosch. Apostolakis, space to run into here. Almost uncontested Apostolakis. McNamara, a little bit start-stop, back to goal. City get another chance. Rosbacken right to the edge of the penalty area without a challenge even, and forces a save out of Daniel Kruzaniak. Well, Carly Rosbacken hasn't scored an A-League goal since 2018, so why not have a go?
Absolutely, she's not getting closed down at all. She's taking the ball in. She's looking to possibly play that ball out to Bosch there, but with the time and space in and around the box, she's just thought, why not? I'm going to go myself.
McNamara, McKenna. McKenna, oh, Kruzaniak being made to work. Bats it down and first to react. Fortunately for her, Holly McNamara a little bit too far away to follow in.
Again, you don't want to be giving any of these players time and space on the ball.
Possession's been given away. Oh, and McNamara has just missed out on a chance at a hat-trick. It was shades of her opening goal, only this one even further closer to the target, and somehow it went wide.
Yeah, you can see here Newcastle Jets trying to play up from the back. Bosch has done so well there on the press, and Holly McNamara holding her head there, not understanding how that ball didn't go into the back of the net.
Well, that would have been a first half hat-trick for Holly McNamara, instead not to be. And the one that you would absolutely expect to find its way into the goal has not. And it's a massive let-off for Newcastle. Yeah, back to the question I asked a moment ago. Do you ring the changes, or do you stick with the team that started the game and try to rework the 10 you started the match with into something different?
I think you don't want to go with too many young players out on the pitch either, and just make sure that once you do get them in at half-time that you do have a clear game plan going into the second half, and maybe slowly get them into the match, but making sure, I think, first and foremost, is that your older players, your most experienced players, like I was saying before, the Cass Davies, the Libby Copus-Browns, they need to be the ones that are really pulling this team together, and, you know, without the ball especially, need to be really disciplined and getting around each other.
Copus-Brown and Laura Hughes getting into a bit of face-to-face trash talk. And now Copus-Brown has been summoned over by the referee. And Knowles, you've used that word, discipline, stay disciplined. This is a worry. The referee's brought the red card out of the pocket. Is this just to mark something on the back of it, or are we about to see someone get sent off? Looks like the red card has been shown, and Lorena Baumann is the player protesting. Was it Baumann or Copus-Brown? Copus-Brown's the one that's got to go. Confusion reigns here. We're going to have to wait and see exactly who has been shown a red card here. We saw it out of the pocket for the referee, but even the Jets don't know. Caitlin Williams is the whistleblower. Looks like it's Baumann. The Jets have had 2 red cards in the first half. Let's have another look. Copus-Brown and Laura Hughes get into an incident here. They're chatting in a not-so-friendly manner. But Caitlin Williams' focus was on sending off Lorena Baumann elsewhere. We will do our best to try and get some clarification from the 4th official as to exactly what the reason was. Here's the resulting free kick. City, incredibly, have a 2-player advantage. And they have a 3rd goal. Lourdes Bosch puts it in the back of the net. However, it's not going to count. They're going to have to stop the music because the flag is up and it remains only 2-0.
Things are going from bad to worse for the Newcastle Jets at the moment. Half-time cannot come quick enough.
Well, there's 4 additional minutes to be played. Of course, the referees are on the eve of finals as well, so they'll be acutely aware that the number of games per week goes from 6 down to 2, and that's the case for elimination final week and the first and second legs of semi-finals. Of course, the way the referees are graded, they get rewarded for their performance with the big matches at the pointy end of the season. So the offside call here is against Briley Henry in the build-up, not against Lourdes Bosch, the player that put it in the net. So that's great assistant refereeing from Jasmine Steger. Half-hearted shouts for handball, and those are answered. Restart of play. Copus Brown. So we think we've found the incident. Bauman and Rossbacken. That kick out there against Carly Rossbacken is the reason for the red card. So you can only assume it's violent conduct. Catherine Kaduli, great work by our team to find that replay for us, but what are your impressions there?
It's a bit of a tough one there. There was a bit of a tussle there between Rossbacken and Bauman, and then obviously she has lashed out with the kick, and that is violent conduct, and the referee has seen it as a red card, and we have to respect that. And
well, Melbourne City have a 2-player advantage as a result. McKenna, first half stoppage time, still has a little bit to go. Kansas City had a third before the break. I'm not sure too many teams ever plan for 9 versus 11, so this is going to be a very difficult second half for the Jets. Danielle Krasaniak's going to have her work cut out. Tips that cross away. McKenna all the time in the world to pick her mark. And now Hoban repelling from the top of the penalty area. And Hoban continues to twist and turn. Now Lauren Allen has popped up over on the left flank. And Allen shows her speed. 30 seconds of first half stoppage time to go. Dundas. Otto. Apostolakis. Briley Henry making a run, and it will be honoured here. Henry drags the ball on, looking for Bosch in the middle. Cleared away by Chico. Half-time whistle not coming to Newcastle's aid just yet. We go beyond the initial 4 minutes. Henry. Apostolakis on the overlap. Henry ignores that, and the half-time whistle goes. The first half packed with incident. Holly McNamara has broken 2 goals clear at the top of the Golden Boot race, and yet missed a sitter for a hat-trick. A rueful shake of the head from Ryan Campbell, because after Sheridan Gallagher picked up 2 yellow cards and was sent off by the 26-minute mark, Lorena Bauman received her marching orders as well. And it's going to be 11 versus 9 when the second half begins. Melbourne City 2, leading Newcastle Jets 0. Catherine Kaduli, let's get into the highlights. It was an incident-packed first half. Good, bad and ugly.
it sure was, wasn't it? And here, just a bad touch here from Emma Dundas. Holly McNamara gets the first touch here, and then she gets it back into the box, and a beautiful finish here by Holly McNamara, inside of the foot, nice and clean, picks a corner, and a superb finish.
And that was Holly McNamara's 13th goal of the season, putting her into the lead in the Golden Boots. And then this was goal number 2.
What a beautiful ball in by Letitia McKenna, and again allowing Holly McNamara the time and space in those dangerous areas. She gets up and gets her head on it and puts it into the back of the net. Again, a great goal by Holly McNamara.
And so McNamara has 14 goals at the top of the Golden Boot to M. Gilnick's 12. Here are the underlying numbers: 66% possession at half-time. And that's going to be 80 plus by full time if it's 11 players versus 9, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's always tough enough to play against Melbourne City, but to do it, you know, with 2 players down, it's going to be a tough second half for the Newcastle Jets. I just hope they can get into the sheds, regroup, get some discipline back within the group and come out for a strong performance in the second half.
Stay with us on Paramount Plus and 10 Play. The halftime score: Melbourne City 2, Newcastle Jets 0.
Will be evicted from the stadium, potentially banned from attending future matches, handed over to police for further questioning. A fine may also be issued. The APL is committed to providing a safe and enjoyable environment for everyone. We ask you to respect the players and match officials by remaining in the season block.
A big Rebecca Stott fan in the crowd and no doubt enjoying that Melbourne City enjoy a 2-0 lead at halftime of this Ninja A-League game. Lots of young fans making their way into this Friday doubleheader. School holidays in Melbourne and kids making the most of it. Of course, there's a big game coming up straight after this one ends. City, if they do win and Melbourne Victory drop points, that could decide the premiership. So, to tell us a little bit more about this upcoming contest, let's check in with the match preview from former Matilda Teresa Polias and your host, Darlene Master.
It's a double header at Industry Group Stadium with Central Coast Mariners welcoming Melbourne victory. Teresa, the Mariners have overcome a bit of a rough patch and they're now sitting in a final spot. What do you credit that to?
I think it shows their character, the perseverance that they've shown during this hard period has been amazing, and we've seen the young guns really stepping up and getting the job done.
It's funny you mentioned young guns because Annalise Rasmussen, I believe, still 19 years of age. She's kind of emerged as a leader in this team. How key has she been this season?
You know, she's been managed so well from her first game in the league, and her maturity's really developed. She's had consistent game time, and you add good performances to that and you get confidence and then you get improvement, and that's what we're seeing with Annalise Rasmussen.
We speak about Melbourne City's dominance, but sometimes you forget Melbourne Victory are just 2 points behind them. That Premier's Plate race is still very much in contention. So how much pressure do you think is almost riding on this game for Victory to pull off a win?
Yeah, I think they've gone a bit under the radar with them actually keeping up with City. They're 2 points off. It's an enthralling race to the finish line, and I guess the pressure's on Victory to get the results and hope for an unlikely Melbourne City slip-up.
Now, something Victory do very well is that it doesn't matter how they perform, they often try to always pull off a result. And we saw that against the Wanderers. It did feel like some of the shots weren't falling for them, they weren't taking advantage of their opportunities. So how do you think they can be a little bit more clinical? Yeah,
look, they've had a few performances that are questionable, and I do think they created some chances against the Wanderers, and they'll take positives from that. But I think that the job and the message will be to continue to create and be sure to be present in the moment when they're taking their chances.
They're on an incredible unbeaten run as well, so let's see Victory can keep that up against high flyers Central Coast Mariners. You can watch this one live on Paramount Plus and 10 Play.
Big thanks to Teresa and Narlene, and of course there's good news for the Central Coast Mariners with captain Taryn King set to return from injury for her first minutes of the season tonight, having suffered an ACL in January 2024. Now, coming up this weekend, there's also a vital game between Sydney FC and the Perth Glory on your Saturday. And we've seen some cracking goals in the Ninja A-League over the years. We asked Perth Glory stars which they think were the best in this edition of Ninja Express.
My favourite A-League goal, I think, would have to be Dougie's goal in the last game. I think it was just set up perfectly. It's her 50th game.
Sinaga's ball towards the back post. Holler will get there. Gabby Holler playing it back to Douglas. You don't get a better return to the competition than that.
She's the person that deserved it. So it was just bittersweet.
My favourite A-League goal, I would say, is Dolt's from last season, outside the box, banged it top left corner, and it was just like a good moment.
And that is a brilliant strike in the dying moments of this game as Perth Glory equalise and celebrate.
And it was just like a good moment for everyone.
My favourite A-League goal would probably be Ben Garuccio, the scorpion kick. I think it was just, I don't know, spur of the moment and like just unbelievable.
Oh my word! That is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio. A scorpion kick that's going to be replayed for weeks and weeks.
My favourite A-League goal would be probably mine, just quietly. It was, I think, the first minute of our second game against Jets at HBF as well, so it was pretty cool. I didn't know how to celebrate though.
That ball's given away cheaply, and then the first shot on goal into the back of the net. First goal for Georgia Cassidy of the new season.
My favourite A-League goal is a goal scored by Sam Kerr when she was playing for Sydney and they were playing against Melbourne Victory. And the score was 1-1 and she scored a diving header.
Sam Kerr with a header, a brilliant header, slams it in, Sydney 2-1. What a piece of play! Oh, the double backward, mind you, but she powered it in for her 9th goal of the year.
Live stream every game, every goal, and every moment live, only on Paramount. Get ready to cheer City fans, just like Liberty supports the A-Leagues. They're on your team too. Whether you're planning a holiday or buying a new home, they can provide the assist you need to get your free thinking goals. Liberty, loans for free thinkers. You can make it with Ninja barbecues are made with electric grills that sear and char like a gas grill. Plus, you can also barbecue, smoke, and air fry outdoors. Backyard bashers are made with pizza ovens that give you crispy crust, high heat roasting, and barbecue smoking. So no matter how you're spending your time outdoors, bring the indoors outdoors with Ninja. City fans, we are looking to secure another Premier's play tonight. We need the win, and then we need the results to go our way a little bit later on. Make some noise as we get set for the second half. Come on, City fans.
Live pictures from Amy Park. Mascots having fun for Melbourne City. Team having fun out on the pitch, enjoying a 2-0 lead with the second half not far away from kicking off. Both goals scored by Holly McNamara. Phenomenal scoring record this season, 14 in 16 in the Ninja A-League. Now, here's the upcoming finals. Take note of the dates. Hit print screen or screenshot if you're watching on your phone, because these are the elimination finals, the two-legged semi-finals, and then, of course, the grand final. Dates and teams and venues all to be confirmed. But that first weekend, 3v6, 4v5, and home ground advantage for the teams that finish in third and fourth. So Newcastle to kick off the second half against the team that they have never beaten. They are 2-0 down. They have had 2 players sent off. This is in every way mission impossible from here. I have the record books handy. Catherine Cannuli, the only question is, will I have to reach for them based on how merciless Melbourne City are feeling in this second half and what sort of resilience the Newcastle Jets can show?
Let's hope not, Teo. But as we know, Melbourne City do definitely have it in them and have plenty of players that can score goals on the pitch. It'll just be, you know, how Matriciani now decides to ride out the rest of the game.
Of course, they will play on a 7-day break away in Perth on Friday. There is the Melbourne City coach. He hasn't turned to his substitutes bench at half-time, and it's a team, as we get the second half underway, where players have openly said they don't want to be rested. They don't want to be rotated. They back their sports science team. They want to play every game, and it probably speaks to why so many of the fringe players at Melbourne City have barely even sniffed the bench this season, because no one's putting their hand up to get rotated out of a team that never loses. As we kick off the second half with Devon Jackson on the ball. Now Lauren Allen, Copus Brown. I guess it's one thing to say, yeah, our sports science team are amazing and no one wants a game off, but I guess that's where a coach has to come in and say to players that might be flagging, no, you do need a break. You do need a rest. We need to keep you in cotton wool for finals. And I guess that's why coaches make the tough decisions.
Absolutely, Teo. And sometimes it is a tough one, but you do want to go into finals with a fresh team. But in saying that, given the resources and the amount of staff and full-time staff that Melbourne City has in their corner is obviously a big plus and a big positive to that environment. And that's why a lot of these players want to go to Melbourne City and they want to play there.
Riley Henry able to cut onto her right side, bides her time. Davidson, and that pass, well, does find a teammate. Maybe not the one intended initially, but Stott came in to make it work. Bosch on her left side, Lourdes Bosch held on to, shot on target, but held on to by Cruzania.
You can see here by Bosch, she's just smart. She just pulls the ball onto her left foot and goes for the strike. Doesn't get the power that she's probably wanting.
Bosch hasn't scored since the 5th of February. 4 goals for the season, 8 assists, the leader in that count. But would love maybe to add more goals. And a free kick here for Holly McNamara against Lauren Allen. No protests from Allen giving away the free kick. Appears to have been put into left back in a back four for Newcastle at the start of this second half. You can see the foul count there. It's amazing. Only 4 fouls in the first half, but 2 red cards. Hoban flipping the ball over into open space. Milena Mires down to the edge of the defensive third, playing the keeper sweeper role. Otto showing no ill effects from a heavy landing in the first 45. Apostolakis with a weaving run, and her own teammate proved to be the main obstacle there. Just ran into Laura Hughes, who bowled her over.
Gets tackled by her own teammate there.
City stay on the attack. Bosch trying to hurdle through Allen rather than around. And the ball spilled kindly. Copus Brown, Stott. McNamara. Taylor had stayed forward there. Leah Davidson, only 1 career goal in the Ninja A-League. She's wearing the colours of Brisbane Roar. Bosch, 1 shot on target already this half. Great footwork, slides it towards McNamara, but the ball is cleared.
Beautiful feet there by Bosch, just so nice and tidy, and takes Lauren Allen one way and then goes the other and just does it so seamlessly. You can see here she's looking the other way. Her feet are just so tidy. The way she just maneuvers that ball around, she's such quality on the ball.
McNamara can't keep it in. How much of that with Bosch is pure technique, and how much of that is also the physicality, the reflexes, the sort of the training with the ball? How much of that is skill, and how much of that is also the physical side of things?
I would say a lot of it is skill. It's the natural ability of being able to run with the ball and keep the ball nice and close to you, and the way that she does it, the way she feints one way, goes the other, and it's absolute class by Bosch. And again, I've been loving seeing this in the Ninja A-League, and she's been a massive asset to Melbourne City and to our league.
And of course, will be vital to City's ambitions of trophies on all fronts, domestic and continental. As we see Rachel Bark there, the photographer, knocking away the ball that was headed right for the lens. Can't go crashing into the lens. There is Rachel Bark by the white line on Instagram. It's the Matilda's photographer that's often in camp with the team. Don't come for the lens, Knowles. They're valuable. Here's Davidson. Ross back in, misses Bosch with the pass. We've spoken a lot about how to Newcastle adjust to playing with 9. How does City adjust to playing with 11? Where do you actually exploit the advantage of having 2 extra players?
I think it's important that once they do go out to one side like they are now, that they are looking for that change of sides quickly to be able to expose the Newcastle Jets. And you can see here in the second half, though, the Newcastle Jets, I think, have come out quite disciplined. You can see they're a little bit more calm coming out in this second half. But I think as well that Melbourne City particularly need to be a little bit better with their decision making, especially here with Carly Rosbach a couple of times of just giving the ball away cheaply. Just doing what they normally do, which keep possession, but finding that right moment to either switch sides or combine through central areas to be able to get through.
Of course, with only one home and away game to go in the season, also means that Gallagher and Bauman will both be suspended for Newcastle's last match of the campaign. That being the F3 derby against the Central Coast. Henry, cross that missed a few in the box, but is retrieved by Ross Backen. Stott. Back to Briley Henry with plenty of space to work with. Henry shoots straight into Chico. Apostolakis. Hughes. Ross back in. Found Bosch, was perhaps trying to slide it further afield to McNamara, but couldn't find a way through. Stott. McKenna in space in the pocket and skies the finish. Better from City, but McKenna not able to apply the finishing touch.
You can see here Stott attacking the space. McKenna again with so much time and space on the ball there, just takes the wrong touch and is just latching out at that to try and take a strike out on goal there.
Marcus works on the outside of Henry, who wants to go into the middle to Hughes instead.
You can see Stoddy's just so smart in their positioning there, wanting to get that ball to switch it back out to Carly Rossbacken, knowing that being able to push on Apostolakis and Rossbacken in those wide areas to give Melbourne City that overload.
Rossbacken, McKenna. Well, it's two good chances in quick succession, and both of them looping out for a goal kick. And McKenna, who has 2 career goals against Newcastle and 9 career overall, unable to find a strike that takes her into double figures.
It's a great ball in there by Rossbacken. It's just the body position in there from McKenna. She just doesn't get that run that she's made into the box and doesn't get her body positioning right.
There's the possession count in the second half. Don't expect a drastic change to that as long as it remains 11 versus 9. Pass a little ambitious though, missing Bosch.
And this is where Melbourne City need to stay patient. They don't need to force those passes. They need to just keep possession and wait for the opening to open up.
Fans trying to make a bit of atmosphere. Of course, if Melbourne City are playing a second leg of a semi-final against Victory or Western United, City fans will have to come in numbers in order to create a home ground advantage. Who wouldn't want to come and watch this team, even as a neutral, especially if they are looking to complete an undefeated season? They do have not just the Golden Boot leader, but one of the most exciting players in the league in Holly McNamara. And she might be on the end of something again here. Briley Henry setting through Letitia McKenna. Wilson dragged out of the middle of defence. Here comes Davidson. Bosch on the overlap. City building. Davidson! Just wide. And Leah Davidson's wait of more than 5 years for an inter A-League goal goes on. afford a smile, but it wasn't since she was playing for Brisbane against Western Sydney Wanderers in January 2020 that she scored her one and only goal in this league.
A long time ago there for Leah Davison, but you can see when she releases Bosch there, she's looking for it, she's got her hands out, wanting that ball back in that dangerous area.
Henry's header, returned by Wilson. Hoban.
Newcastle's got to be smart here in terms of their game management, just to really slow things down.
Chico, Cobus Brown. Davis. Dundas. City win possession back. McKenna able to get the better of Copus Brown. Still Letitia McKenna wheels onto a shot. And it is not third time lucky in the second half for Letitia McKenna, who continues to pepper, but can't quite test Danielle Krasaniak.
You can see here she's on a run with the ball there. She just keeps going, and at that last second she lines herself up and backs herself from that area.
Here's another through ball. McKenna, is it a fourth chance? It's not. Krasaniak down to the ball, and well played by Chico just to hold up McKenna's advances towards the goalkeeper. This might be last chance for either McNamara or McKenna to get themselves a goal, because Melbourne City are preparing a triple substitution down on the sidelines, and Rihanna Pollicina and Amelia Murray are amongst those receiving the briefing. You can see right next to where Alexia Apostolakis is taking that throw in. So an attacking midfielder and a striker not far away from coming into the game. Davidson. Bosch. Finds her timed as Bosch. There's the burst of acceleration. And Lauren Allen has managed that well. Out for a goal kick. There's the triple sub. Shelby McMahon's the other member of the trio. It's about to come on. Apostolakis. Otto. Possession given away. Jackson immediately caught by Briley Henry.
I wonder if Matriciani does it early, or does he wait to get the third goal up until he makes these changes?
Well, the hour mark is looming, so I wonder if it may be more of a clock watching thing as we see Newcastle trying to venture forward, but Taylor Otto intercepts and now has Rossbacken out in open field. Lourdes Bosch can start from just inside the attacking half. Rossbacken continue the run. Bosch sets Rossbacken away. McNamara is waiting in the middle, but Cass Davis stops the cross from getting to the Melbourne City striker. So as things stand, there's the triple sub on the way. Melbourne Victory have to beat the Central Coast Mariners in Gosford later tonight. Otherwise, Melbourne City will be crowned premiers. Here's Hughes. Now Henry. Briley Henry with a looping ball, and it's out for a corner. And maybe that triple sub will have to wait one more phase of play. Melbourne City attacking a corner kick. If there's one place that the two-player advantage could be most acutely felt, it's maybe a set-piece situation like this. You can only point and mark at so many players before someone's loose. Otto and Rossbacken having a discussion about where Alexia Apostolakis is going to try and drop this ball. Apostolakis with a flat corner that tumbles into the box. Henry, second time ball, hangs it high. McNamara up for a leap. Krasaniak punches away. McKenna. Henry, Apostolakis, the corner taker. He's going to try and whip it in, but that takes a ricochet out for a goal kick, and that is going to prompt the triple change here for Melbourne City. So Rihanna Pollicina and Shelby McMahon on, and precious minutes here for Amelia Murray, who is going to make just her third Ninja A-League appearance of the season. But making way is Holly McNamara, 2 goals here this afternoon, and it means that she is now 2 clear of Em Gilnick, leading the Golden Boot race. She came into the weekend, Catherine, averaging 1.46 goals per 90 minutes, while she scored 2 in 61 today. What a phenomenon.
That's phenomenal from Holly McNamara. As much as it's nice to see her get taken off and Amelia Murray come on for some minutes here, and we know what loads Holly McNamara has had, especially going into international camp as well with the Matildas. But to come off with 2 goals and a brace as a striker, she'd be disappointed that she couldn't get a hat-trick today, but she's been phenomenal since she's been back.
Well, arguably the best chance to score that she had today was for the hat-trick, and ended up putting it wide. But the 3 players that came off, McKenna, McNamara and Leah Davidson, and the 3 coming on, Rihanna Pollicina, Amelia Murray and Shelby McMahon. First time either team has turned to the bench, and it's a triple change from Melbourne City. And here is the 16-year-old McMahon in possession to Bosch. McMahon coming back from Young Matilda's camp. Rebecca Stott. Amelia Murray. Not the first touch she was hoping for as the ball is cleared away. Otto. Riley Henry. Not quite shooting range. Henry decided why not. That one has gone well over the crossbar. Don't forget, this is part of a doubleheader. Melbourne City against the Brisbane Roar, seeding within the top 6, maybe even a late latching on to the premiership race. Everyone's been saying Auckland versus Western United. Well, Melbourne City, they don't want to be slept on just yet. That's coming up on Paramount Plus after the conclusion of this game. Don't miss it. Melbourne City against the Brisbane Roar. Apostolakis has Henry in an acre of space. Henry is going to wheel onto the ball. Chico coming through, and Chico didn't take a backward step. The end result's a goal kick. Well done, Chico.
It's a great running race between those two. You can see Chico, she's just coming across here to... It was a fantastic tackle there by Chico.
Well, they're 2 players that are now too old for the under-20s, Knowles, but they would still be eligible for the under-23s. They're in that sort of age gap where players are weighing up Ninja A-League, overseas moves. Riley Henry's had a brief taste of the Matildas. Claudia Chico still got some development to do before reaching that level, and that's where the Ninja A-League is so important. And also potentially a national under-23s team as well.
Absolutely, and we know that we obviously do try to be as active as we can in that age group, but probably not enough. We need to do more in that age group to make sure that these players are being tested at the top level.
Strike from Murray into the back of her own player. Pollicina bore the brunt of it. Dundas. Jackson. An important storm for Newcastle just to clear their lines, and Hoban is going to make it work and win a throw-in. So no change to the halftime score. Newcastle have negated 20 minutes of this second half in spite of a 2-player disadvantage. Clearance by So those are the remaining fixtures. Friday night next week will be Melbourne City away to Perth, and Newcastle Jets host the Mariners in the F3 Derby. Of course, it was 5-1 to the Mariners when they met in Gosford earlier in the season. So if nothing else, that will be the Jets' grand final to try and finish the campaign on a high. And they have worked their way as far into attack as they have at any point during this second half right here. Could they halve the deficit? Down to 9 players, they've got a corner. And a set piece could be just the tonic. Tell you what, if they were to score here with 9 players, wouldn't it give them a boost of confidence?
Absolutely it would, and 2-0, we all know it's the most dangerous scoreline in football, and you get a goal here in the Newcastle Jets, even though you are down to 9 players, it definitely gives you that spring in your step and it gives you that boost of confidence.
And could it plant a seed of doubt within Melbourne City? Corner delivery, all important here from Cass Davis. Look at the cluster in the 6-yard box. Davis trying to create some chaos. It's an up and under initially. Jackson off the line. It's in. The Jets have scored. 2 red cards, but the deficit halved. Devin Jackson's headed towards the line, bundled over, and Newcastle have denied City a clean sheet. And maybe, just maybe, there is hope for the unthinkable. It's probably going down as Jackson's goal.
It's a great delivery there by Cass Davis. You can see that the Newcastle Jets are crowding Mieres there, and they've done such a fantastic job, and Devin Jackson gets a head on it and off a Melbourne City player there to go into the back of the net.
Well, if it's not Jackson's goal, it's an own goal for Rebecca Stott. They'll have to mull over that, looking at the slow-mo replays. And I did mention that when they beat Sydney FC earlier in the season, when they were down to 10 players with a first half red card, the Newcastle Jets, one of the scorers that day, Devin Jackson. So, Melbourne City, that might wake them up a bit. We'd drifted for 20 minutes of the second half with no change to the score, and now it's Newcastle who've halved the deficit. It's been given to Devin Jackson, so her 5th of the season, the New Zealander. Stott. Dundas intercepts. Dundas trying to take on 4 players single-handedly. Stott, the instant reply would be a gut punch. Pollicina shooting range for Pollicina! Melbourne City put down the resistance in style, and Rihanna Pollicina off the substitutes bench and making the most of every minute.
See here, Pollicina, she lines herself up, she takes a touch out of her feet, and what a beautiful strike it was from Rihanna Pollicina. That's exactly what she's got in her locker. We know how pinpoint she is with her strikes, and what a beautiful strike it is. You can see the happiness on her face. What a great strike by Pollicina.
That is her 30th career A-League goal. You can see the stats there, closing in on 100 career games. When you're starved of game time, there's no better way to make an impact than to come up with a strike like that.
How good is that? And you can just see with the finger in the air, twirling it around, you can see what it means to her. And it's always tough, especially a player like Pollicina that's had some absolutely outstanding seasons in the Ninja A-League. And to come this season and to be one of those players that is coming off the bench, it is tough, but to see her come on and just be firing from the get-go, it's great to see.
A 4th goal of the campaign, and her first since the 5th of February in the 5-1 rout of Western United. And a 2-goal buffer restored. And now you just wonder if Newcastle's scoring has sharpened City back up. And they might be on the hunt for more. Henry. Pollicina. Kostelakis. McMahon Shelby McMahon round the corner to Briley Henry. Pollicina leaves it for Henry. And the floodgates are opening for Melbourne City. Briley Henry finds the back of the nets. Her third of the campaign and her third career goal against the Newcastle Jets, her favourite opponent to play against in the Ninja A-League. And Melbourne City are ahead 4-1.
Great little combination play there by Briley Henry and Rihanna Pollicina. You can just see here the little 1-2 around Chico and the nice finish here. Low, inside the foot there for Briley Henry, and a great finish there. And again, it's going to be a tough one here for the Newcastle Jets.
Well, Henry, who had that lengthy streak of more than 30 games without scoring in the Ninja A-League, but she's come good at the right time of the season. Her 10th career goal, and ever since scoring that match winner against Sydney FC on the 15th of February, she now has 3 in 7. Now, this is interesting. Melbourne City are making a double change. Alexia Apostolakis is coming off, and the veteran goalkeeper, Melissa Barbieri, every time she takes the field, she breaks the record as the oldest player, male or female, in the history of the A-League. She's on here for Milena Mires. It's the first time we've seen Barbieri since the 20th of December away in Adelaide, so it's the first time she's played at Amy Park since last season's grand final. And it'll be the 109th appearance of her illustrious career.
And what a fantastic career Melissa Barbieri has had. And to see her to still take the field, it's just unbelievable. She's been fantastic. She's been a fantastic mentor to a lot of these players, and to be able to get a chance to take the field today, I think it's great to see, and congratulations to Melissa Barbieri.
Now, there was a double change for Newcastle as well. India Breyer and Claire Adams have been subbed on, so they've looked for some fresh legs too. Breyer, the number 7, Adams playing in midfield, wearing the number 32. What a situation to come on in. 9 versus 11, 4-1 down. Just under 20 minutes to go. Otto, TJ Vlanich came on for Apostolakis. Hughes, Henry, great feint. Henry looking for 2 in quick succession. Puts that just wide of the top right corner.
And that's what happens when you score goals. Briley Henry, a little bit of confidence now from that goal, and you can see in and around the box looking to back herself.
Emma Dundas and the Jets goal scorer Devin Jackson, the 2 players that have come off. Adams and Breyer, you can see they're coming on. They've been splitting their time between the A-League and also Newcastle's NPL women's team, their state league team that plays through the winter season, where a number of players will go back and play year-round football through the winter months. It's a handy asset to have because it means they're not going to be rusty when they come in here. It's just the circumstances of the game that are not so favourable.
It sure is. It's a massive advantage to all the clubs that do have an academy, and I think we're at a time now in women's football that every club should have a female academy underpinning their A-League squad, and it's important, and it's very important for the youngsters, especially that aren't getting the game time, that get to go back and play and do get their minutes that they need every week.
I guess it's a cruel irony that 2 of the teams that have it, now we're just waiting for absolute confirmation here. We've been told Amelia Murray has been credited with an own goal, so we do have to take it off Devin Jackson in the end, unfortunately. There is Murray, the unfortunate own goal scorer. Rossbacken, McMahon, Stott, left by Pollicina for Henry. So Henry bent one wide from almost that exact spot a moment ago. Taylor Otto, TJ Vlanich. Vlanich honing in on the near post of Krasaniak and held on to by the Jets keeper.
You can see what Vlanic is trying to do here. She's trying to whip it with her left foot in behind the Newcastle Jets defence. It just doesn't get the right technique to be able to do that.
Bosch resuming her duel with Lauren Allen. Lauren Allen can hold her head high, sent to play at left back in this second half, guarding Lourdes Bosch, and continues to break even, if not win, the majority of duels between the two players. Pollicina at walking pace from Newcastle attacking the ball. They're sitting deep. Damage limitation in full effect. Chico able to clear. Rossbacken whips in across, and Henry, well, it hit the standing leg, wouldn't have mattered. She was offside. You've coached Briley Henry, and how would you describe her evolution as a player that was a striker initially, was tried as a wing-back, has been tried as a winger, and we're seeing her used as a bit of a Swiss Army knife in this Melbourne City team wherever they need someone to fill a position?
And I think that's the great thing about Briley Henry. She's so versatile in where she can play. She can play a central striker. She can play in those wide areas, whether it be a fullback or a wing back or as a winger. And that's one of her greatest assets. And it's probably a tough when you're trying to polish your position as you get older. And she is starting to become that player that is starting to get a little bit older now. As you said, she's too old for that under-20s age group, but nevertheless, she's playing a great part here in this Melbourne City team.
She's involved in the build-up here. Pollicina, Vlanic, trying to widen the pitch. Stott. McMahon falling off balance, but Hughes keeps the ball at City feet. Hoban and Henry, tangle of legs, free kick Newcastle's way.
Bit of a battle here by Hoban and Briley Henry.
Chico trying to break forward, but Hughes backtracking. Rossbacken sees Bosch. Bosch, a chance to build speed, but defers out to the right. McMahon advancing onto the ball. Maybe didn't get there before the line. Indeed, that proves to be the case. Goal kick. Catherine, I saw a photo of you actively coaching as one of the assistants to Alex Aparkis and the young Matildas during the international break. You worked with Shelby McMahon amongst a host of players that we've seen involved in this game. How did you find the experience of bringing the young Matildas in for a domestic camp, a chance to work with the team for a week through the international break? I also saw the photos of them all attending the Matildas game in Sydney. They seem to be having the time of their lives watching the senior team go about their work.
They sure did, and they're a great group to have in camp. It's so refreshing to see so many talented players in that camp, and it's always so tough. There's only so many spots of players that can actually come into camp, but to see the likes of players like Shelby McMahon that did come into camp, Alexia Postolakis, the next generation of Matildas for us.
Cross in here is going to sit up kindly, and Murray, well, hit the post, but looks like the offside flag has become Melbourne City's enemy in the short term. Murray unable to score at both ends in the same game, at least I should say, not just yet, clearly offside. Sorry, I'll let you finish the point you were making.
Like I said, there's so much talent coming through, and we talk about depth all the time, but now it's about getting these players in the Ninja A-League, playing more minutes, being at clubs where they can actually get 90 minutes week in, week out.
Copus Brown can't redirect play over to the left. Here goes Henry. Murray making a run, which Henry honours. Murray. Now Vlanic. Into the final 10 minutes of regulation, Newcastle can see the finish line in sight. The players that have refused to bow their heads out there today will remember this game for a long time. Murray, Pollicina, Hoban. And again, the fight is there from the Jets, trying to limit the damage. Blanich, Hughes. Laura Hughes advancing. Pollicina back to goal, finds Hughes. Bosch. Now McMahon. Bosch is going to step onto her left and curl a shot that requires the save of the day from Danielle Krasaniak.
Great strike here by Bosch. The way she just feints one way, brings it the other. And what a fantastic save by Krasaniak here. Super save.
You can see there, neither of Melbourne City's goalkeepers, Mires or Barbieri, have made a save today. So Krasaniak's done all the work. Corner the result. Blanich. To the far post it goes. Allen caught enough of it. Pollicina around the corner. There's been a raft of shots off target in this second half to go with the 2 goals.
You can just see when this ball drops from Pollicina, she just leans back just that little bit, which lofts that ball over the top of the bar. And in that instance, you need to be leaning over it, getting your body over the ball to be able to keep that ball down and get it into the back of the net.
Copus Brown back to Davis. And both teams arguing it's their throw. Newcastle get the knock. So Newcastle to make another double change, and it's a couple of the younger members of not just today's match day lineup, but their squad. Chloe Wallando and also Alexis Collins, and Livy Copus Brown and Lauren Allen make way. So that's all 4 outfielders that started the day on the bench for the Jets that have now come on. Collins on for just her 8th appearance in what is her first season, and Wallando on for the first time since the 1st of February. For just her 4th appearance of the campaign and 9th career. So valuable minutes for them both, the 19 and 17-year-old into the game. Here's Ross Backen to Hughes. Henry saw Pollicina. Pollicina against Chico. And the return ball's a good one from Stott. Pollicina keeps her feet after Adams went to ground. Otto. Taylor Otto doesn't fancy a long shot. Hughes couldn't quite control the ball against Hoban, who's done well. Pass, McMahon. Ross back into Bosch. Bosch dancing on the ball and out for a goal kick without convincing the referee there was a foul.
Again, just tidy feet here by Bosch, and she just does it so seamlessly. Cass Davies with a little bit of a cheeky smile there.
Steers it to a central left position for Blanich. A driving ball. Ross Backen is not going to be able to chase it down. No, the back heel came a little too late. The ball was out. Solid header from Henry, Hughes, and Hoban. Blanich. Back to Otto. Newcastle have just packed the defence, making City work side to side.
They've done really well to stay compact. They've been a lot more disciplined in this second half. I think they've done super well to be able to come out with 9 players, and it's not easy, especially against a team like Melbourne City.
Mann turns and the shot is blocked immediately by Davis. Backspin on the ball though. Mann. Henry and Hughes. Quick 1-2 and the ball into the near post is put behind for a corner by Chico.
You can see when Melbourne City are moving that ball from side to side. Once they do get into those wide areas, they are looking for that little 1-2, and that's it. That's the way that they are unlocking the Newcastle Jets defence.
Just the third corner of the game for Melbourne City. Contrast that with 20 shots that they've fired off through the course of the evening. Blanich drops it right on top of the keeper, and clearance away by Collins. Gets the ball out of the penalty area. Murray. Blanich on the left. Henry. Chico stood up Pollicina and was able to knock the ball away, but Newcastle have to reset their formation and go again in defence here. Pollicina, Henry. 2 minutes of regulation to go in the game. Not much doubt about who's going to win, more just a question of the final score. And Newcastle able to repel, and Claire Adams not quite venturing forward as much as sideways. Newcastle have themselves an attacking half throw-in, and it's probably worth remembering that the way they did score their goal was 3 or 4 throw-ins that were cleared all the way down the line. Eventually they won a corner, and they scored from that corner. Can they win another corner here? Collins into the box, but that is a comfortable collect, and Melissa Barbieri's first touch of the ball since coming on as a substitute.
Nice easy take there by Melissa Barbieri.
Pollicina to Henry, Hughes.
Even though you don't see Melissa Barbieri in many of these shots, we definitely always can hear her, that's for sure.
Rossbacken across the face. We saw her have a go in the first half, Carly Rossbacken. Still trying to score for the first time in 6.5 years, but not able to put that one on target.
Again, why not? If no one's coming out to apply pressure and you do get in and around those areas where you can strike a ball, why not back yourself from there?
Throw in clearance for the Jets, but it only works to get them into the attacking half briefly. As the game ticks into 3 additional minutes. So in just 3 minutes time, all the focus turns to Melbourne victory away at the Central Coast Mariners. Do Melbourne City have a sting in the tail? Murray. Rossbacken. Pollicina. Otto. Now Blanich. Blanich bursts away from Wallando. Cleared off the penalty spot by Adams. Stott advancing slowly. 1 of 3 additional minutes ticks by. Ross back in, and as the ball slides out, of course, as things stand, Melbourne Victory must win away at the Central Coast Mariners this evening. Otherwise, Melbourne City will be presented with the Premiership trophy after the men's game against the Brisbane Roar, which follows the conclusion of this game at Amy Park. Otherwise, if Melbourne Victory do win, Melbourne City will get their chance to win the Premiership for the 2nd season in a row, away in Perth in the last round. About a week and an hour from where we are right now. Of course, they'll also be trying to do it with an undefeated season. It's pretty amazing, Catherine Cannulli. The longest season in A-League Women's history prior to this season was 22 games. Of course, due to Unite round, this season is going to be 23. So Melbourne City, 22 games unbeaten. It's the... we'll stay with play here because there might be more to the story. Pollicina can't find Bosch. It's a pretty remarkable achievement, though. 22 games undefeated, just 1 away from a full home and away, +1 without a loss.
It sure is. What a great achievement it is from all the team at Melbourne City. It's just unbelievable to be able to see this and witness this, and it's something that we'll all be talking about for a very, very long time.
Of course, Perth will be hoping that if they beat Sydney tomorrow, and then Wellington gets them a favourable result against Canberra, they will still be playing with finals on the line. Of course, a lot has to go right. It's permutation station in the last 2 rounds of the season. Seconds remain in this one. Newcastle have opted for damage limitation in the second half, and all things considered, they've achieved it. Melbourne City continue their near flawless record against the Newcastle Jets. That's now 18 wins and 1 draw, head-to-head record. And they are on the precipice, 1 hand on the trophy. Both the Premiership and the Golden Boot for Holly McNamara. Her goals in the first half put Melbourne City in control. A pair of red cards left Newcastle defending for their lives. And even though they did grab a goal back just to make it interesting, only minutes later, Rihanna Pollicina scored. And then Briley Henry in short order soon after to secure 3 precious points for the City Blues. And they remain at the top of the Ninja A-League after this result. Melbourne City 4, Newcastle Jets 1. Catherine Cannulli, let's get into the highlights one last time. And back to the first half where Holly McNamara's Industry won the ball and then she finished off her own work.
It was a great strike there by Holly McNamara. She just picks out the corner of that net, and again she'd done all the hard work to win the first ball back and then gets herself into a great position and a great strike.
And then the second goal, showing her versatility with a leap to head in.
Again, a beautiful ball in by Letitia McKenna here, and you can't give Holly McNamara time and space in the box, and a great header. You can see here, great ball in by Cass Davis for the Newcastle Jets. It does go down as an own goal for Amelia Murray, but they did get themselves back in the game.
They sure did. And